Welcome to This Is Not a Green Room, the podcast where we talk to comedians and friends of New York Comedy Club, coming to you from beautiful downtown Court Square, Queens. Pinch recording. With us, as always, the lovely Rachel, the lovely Nick, who we are now calling Buck because of my autocorrect mistake.
Yes, Buck!
And our guest today is Dave Sirus.
Hello.
Hey, Dave.
How we doing?
I'm good. I just got a new nickname, so I'm hanging in there.
I was really surprised how down for it you were.
I've been called way worse. So, I mean, Buck is...
You know, I know this isn't a green room, but if it was, it would be the biggest, nicest green room I've ever had at a comedy club.
Yeah. It's our executive suite.
I know people can't see it. It's essentially a really big old man's closet.
I called it the poker room.
That's a really good
they play poker in here
description.
too.
It looks like something that people have been stashing their extra stuff in for 90 years.
There's a lot of records.
Yes, Rachel's right, though.
A lot of vinyl in here.
Rachel's right. This does seem like a room that a lot of people have had their fingers cut off playing poker in.
Funny you mention that.
Nick got burned real bad this week.
I had a bad beat the other day. We were playing poker at work, so I can't necessarily complain too much. But let's just say Emilio Savone is the luckiest son of a bitch on the face of the earth, and he caught the 5 of spades on the river, and I lost out on $80.
And this is the thing too. We'll get to our actual guest in a second, but I've played poker with Emilio a number of times. So has Nick. He is a wild man. His style, there's people who are loose, aggressive, tight, conservative, whatever. Emilio is crazy all over the place. So hopefully something works out. That's his style.
There's no focus. It's just
there's no rhyme. It's not. Some people too. They'll be like really aggressive and they'll bluff a bunch to get you to think that they always bluff, and then they'll start playing conservative so they can take it. Like, there's none of that strategy. He's just like, I got a 5-3 off. Let's go all in.
He's on his
see
phone
what happens.
He texts on his phone the entire time.
No, he's checking. He's checking odds.
Yeah,
he's looking up.
That's what he's doing.
Like, wait,
we're on to
is
him.
a 2-7 off good?
No, he's the kind of person who, like, if he wins after taking an 8% shot, he thinks that makes him a genius.
Yep.
Yes, that is exactly right.
That's exactly what happened.
He'll bet everything on a gut shot straight and then act like he was supposed to do that if the one time it works.
He said to me, and this is so much worse. He says to me afterwards, he goes, I only went all in because I wanted you to win. Fuck you, man. You.
He just said that to get
I had
your
a
goat.
pair of queens. You had nothing. You had
said
dick.
that to really.
Yeah.
He said that to rile you
went
up.
all in because I wanted you to win. All right, well then give me a raise. How about that?
All right. Well, now that Nick has not quite recovered from his bad beat the other day where he lost all of his hot dog money for the Mets game.
Yeah.
$80 on hot dogs?
I don't know if you've been to Citi Field lately.
He wants to eat 3 hot dogs.
Yeah. No, he wanted 2 hot dogs and 1 Coke.
Yeah.
So, Sirus, you have had quite a career. You've had a lot of different areas that you've been in. You started off, you had that character Brick that you played that was...
Yes.
Yeah.
Around 2010 was the first time that I somewhat crawled out of the gutter in terms of stand-up. Because I like to brag about how I failed longer than anyone, and that's why it's okay that I got really lucky in the last few years. But yeah, 2010, I'd already done a couple years of YouTube videos because I'd done sketch in college and stuff. And when YouTube came out, I was finally like, oh, good, I should start putting stuff online. And I did a bunch of different stuff, and like a lot of like YouTube people, you do like different things, and then one thing gets popular, so you kind of just do that, which I agree with, So I was doing Man on the Street interviews, which were kind of my more popular ones, which I'd already done. And then Westboro Baptist Church came to my town, and I just had this idea. I was just like, I saw people making fun of them at like Comic-Con, and I could see how much they enjoyed it because they're like, oh, you're just giving us more attention. You have signs and you're just drawing, and they loved it. And I just remember watching it being like, I'm 100% certain I know how to talk to these people on camera in a way they won't like. And that was the whole plan. The whole plan was like, there's a formula that these protesters, their heart's in the right place, they're missing. I was like, I bet if you talk directly to these people and make them feel stupid, they'll hate it and maybe leave. And it worked. So and they got gigantic hits. Dan Savage shared one, and then after that, like things just snowballed, and suddenly the videos were in like the hundreds of thousands, and then the millions. So I did that for like a couple years. And like on and off, because I didn't want to just do it forever. And also, the more you do it, the less, interesting each one is. So thank God I got SNL and I got to stop doing that. Because it's like, I would also, like, if I did anything that wasn't the Brickstone interviews, like, they would get in the tens of thousands at the most.
Yeah.
Like I was never, maybe one or two would hit 100.
Would you get like all stupid comments from people like, "Where's Brick? This sucks."
Yeah, no, I get a lot of. It's very nice that people still tweet me asking like where I am, what I'm doing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if you love me that much, you probably would have Googled me, and seen my IMDb. So I'm not really buying how fanatical you're saying you are about my comedy if you didn't know what I've been doing.
Well, they Googled Brick and they couldn't get anything to come
Yeah.
up.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen like what people Google, which is, the thing I love the most is the fact that, they predictive text.
Yeah.
When I put in my name, every day, the first thing comes up is Dave Sirus age, which is awesome
Nice.
because people can't really figure out how old I am.
I mean, that's fair. I love that. I love checking predictive text. I mean, I don't do it just like for fun because I don't know, whatever. Anyway, but there's periodically like I have to Google a comic we work with to find a specific thing. Like, oh, I remember they did this article, or I'm trying to find the specific YouTube video, and to see the predictive text to be like, oh, all of a sudden everyone's interested in your wife. Okay, or height, age, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend.
How much money you
husband.
make?
It doesn't come. I mean, maybe it's just the way because I didn't start it with how much money does
Oh.
Mike Cannon make, but like,
Yeah, mine was age, wife, podcast, roast battle.
all right, that's interesting.
The podcast one is just because I do David Feldman's show every week.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole thing I would do is he kept asking about my podcast, and I would never say the name of it.
Yeah,
Because I was just like, it's not as good as this one. So like, if people really want to find it, they'll find it. So they had to like look for
that's
it.
hilarious. I like that.
So you started off as a character on YouTube essentially, and then you got SNL
Well, I started
from that directly from that,
No,
or
not even close. It was funny because like I got millions of hits on you. I got like 20-something million hits, and I couldn't really get anything good out of it. I got like some radio
Yeah.
interviews. I did like RT America before I knew it was run by the Kremlin. I had no idea. It's before
Wait,
the Crimea.
what did they have you do on RT?
Oh, I was like I did this magazine show called The Alona Show, and first they interviewed me, and then based on the interview, then I started being able to just do like monologues, like typical like Daily Show, like
Okay,
correspondent
yeah.
type things. And this was before the Crimean invasion, so RT had not actually basically outed itself as Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
It was apparently just a liberal, small news station for English-speaking Russian people.
Yeah.
Like Nouveau TV was for English-speaking Spanish people. So I did that a few times, and then the Crimean invasion happened, and I was like, oh, because I would do like bits about, news stories, and I was like, oh, I have a bit about Putin invading Crimea, and like, oh, we can't do that. I was like, what do you mean? He goes,
We'll all
"Oh,
be
we're-
killed.
We're owned by Putin. I'm like, really? Wait, what? I thought this was liberal. Like, this is like liberal news. What the hell are you talking about? Because I didn't really watch anything else on RT.
Yeah.
And the Alona show was good. And in fact, shortly after this happened, the Alona quit and she moved to HuffPost.
Oh,
so like
nice.
the producers that I knew were, because were all like, no, we don't want to do like Russian propaganda. But it was right around that time that RT switched from being like just regular liberal news to suddenly being this Putin apologist thing, and Ed Schultz started, pretending
God.
that he liked Putin. It was the most bizarre thing.
And you get to like watch it happen.
Yeah, it was really weird because I really liked the bits that I did, because I would basically just do like a very surreal kind of 3-minute, 4-minute, like, just monologue.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. But that's really all I got out of the Brickstone stuff. Aside from just like a few small things and opportunity, I was in talks to develop a few TV shows. They all deemed them just lawsuit magnets, because it was literally going to be that style. Like my whole thing that people like me doing was confronting horrible people. So if I have to confront someone and accuse them of being a horrible person every week, you're really opening yourself up to a lot of libel,
Oh yeah.
or slander technically.
Oh, right.
Even though it would be truthful. So around this same time, I was friends with Pete Davidson, and we started writing together right around when he was like 19. We had done shows together. I was the only person he knew in LA at the time, so I would hang out when he had like he was on this pilot that never came out for Fox, and he had some opportunities to write for some stuff, and we started writing things together, and immediately started like they immediately sold a web series to a cable company, and then also had a script that we wrote that people were interested in. And so things really started ramping up quickly based on those scripts. And then Pete got SNL. So all those got canceled. And then Pete's first year at SNL, he did the Justin Bieber roast. I wrote about half the jokes that got on the air for that one. And sort of based on that, SNL was interested in me for Pete's second year, and I got hired there, where my main responsibility was co-writing his update features so he wouldn't have to burn his stand-up anymore, essentially.
Yeah, I remember that the first year he burned
so
much material.
His first year, it was all his act.
Yeah.
And then the second year, it was stuff that we wrote.
Yeah.
That either I would propose a subject, and then we would bang it out. We did 5 that year. And basically the first one was something from his act, and the rest were things that I kind of helmed.
Yeah.
And then I was fired after 1 year at SNL, despite having quite a few jokes in the cold opens as well.
Yeah.
I had a lot of stuff in the politics stuff, because thank God I was there during a primary. I would have had nothing in, because that's what they liked of mine. They liked my politics jokes. They liked the topical stuff I did. So I was really lucky I had the primary election to work on, because I got to write a lot of stuff that was in, the debates that year, the Hillary stuff, the Bernie stuff, the Trump stuff. So that was fortunate. And then after that, right after SNL stopped, I started working at Triumph, the insult comic dog, which you guys know. But I got to tell you, it is so funny trying to describe him to someone who doesn't know who he is. You sound fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a plastic fake dog,
Maybe
and
got a puppet?
he tells people that he wants to poop on them. What don't you understand?
I explained to people, I work for a dog who insults people.
I love that dog.
I work for this dog puppet who's mean to people. He's been doing it for about 22 years.
Yeah.
He's been around for
22 years?
Is it just that people
1997.
are too young? Like when I was in college and like afterwards, that was like huge. And
Yeah.
then was that one of the things where
1997,
It was
same year I did
still
my first Brick
owned-
Stone. So my first Brick Stone was the same year, even though what I do is very similar to Triumph. That's why whenever people on Twitter are like, "Where's Brick Stone?" I'm like, "Just watch Triumph. It's the same fucking thing."
Yeah.
Like it's this. Everything I would be writing for Brick Stone, I've written for Triumph anyway.
Well, that's what
He
I was
was
going to
doing,
say
like,
when you
red-
were talking about the sort of legal hurdles. I was like, and then you end up at Triumph, who is a part of a major corporation that's like, we'll take care of the legal hurdles.
yeah.
Isn't he even doing like red carpets?
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, we did the Emmys. That's one of the jobs I did, because I started working in when he did the Hulu show. There was like a 6-episode Hulu show that we did, and one of the things we did was the Emmys. And the reason we were able to do the Emmys is because we were nominated for a writing Emmy. I think it was Hulu's first writing nomination. And so that's why we were able to get into the Emmys. And that's also why we were not nominated again. Which I was really upset about, because I felt the things we did after were better.
Yeah.
And I was sure we were going to get a nomination. And Robert was basically like, yeah, I don't think they're going to be doing that after last time. Because he basically used his his seat
invitation,
to harass
yeah.
everyone.
That's awesome.
I gotta say that really makes me admire him even more.
That is like so punk rock.
I
That
know,
is
that is
awesome.
badass.
It was really great. You should have seen how much James Corden was not enjoying it.
James Corden. He let's just move on.
The best thing about James Corden is that this is the one thing I shouldn't reveal about Triumph, but like occasionally, because he's Triumph, it's just a dog puppet. You can just voice over anything you want later. So we don't usually do that, but like occasionally, if it's something too mean to say in real life, we'll just dub it in later. And if you want to watch the Hulu special and see what we say to James Corden, I will reveal that one we didn't say in real life, because that would have been.
Oh,
What was it?
wow.
Yeah, what was it? Tell us.
No, everyone's got to go to Hulu and watch it.
I feel like it might have been something along the lines of calling him Fat Jimmy Fallon or something, but it was I think it was more complex than that. At least I hope it was, but it might have just been that.
Okay.
I just remember that's one.
What was his reaction?
I'm so, Smago's gonna be so mad. I never should have. No, because I think he said one thing, and you see the
You're right.
reaction, and I think we ended up changing it to a joke. 'cause-
Right. Yeah.
Which that sounds like we do a lot, but it was like that's.
Don't worry,
something-
this isn't Rogan. It's not going to get back to
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Because usually it is in the moment, and no one
Yeah.
actually writes Triumph. It's all off the top of his head. Not even Smigel's, the puppets.
Yeah.
Do
Oh,
people
wow.
when Triumph is harassing people, do they to me all look like they're looking at Triumph, and they're never looking at the guy whose hands up his butt?
Yeah, you're not supposed to look at him, and it's good that they usually do. I think when we did Ted Cruz, we went to Texas and we followed Cruz and Beto around Texas, and it was when he interviewed Cruz was amazing. First of all, Cruz didn't want to get interviewed; he refused it, and we'd had previous specials of us trying to interview him, and he refused. But then we told him Beto did, so he said yes. And the way this is what makes Ted Cruz such a lunatic. The way that like the very first instant that he was in Triumph's field of vision, he immediately locks in and is making eye contact with the puppet, and there's not even a hint of transition. So like with Beto's like laughing at the fact that he's talking to a puppet.
Yeah.
He's like, he obviously he needs that moment to like be like, I can't.
I'm a
believe
human. This is weird.
This is so funny that I have to answer these questions. Whereas Ted Cruz, there was not even the slightest difference to him between talking to this puppet and talking to all the other ones he talks to all day.
That's amazing.
Like it didn't seem like there was any difference. And Ted Cruz is a comedy guy. He's a very smart man. He immediately wanted so badly to win, to just win that that witty war that was happening.
Yeah.
And thank God Smigel off the top of his head did win. But when Ted Cruz did a joke about him being neutered. Be like, it's the Democrats who said you had to be neutered. And he goes, yes, neutered, like Trump did to you. And it was
That's good.
And you saw Ted Cruz literally go, ah! He literally the moment, ah! He got me. He won, damn it.
I don't know what it says about me, but I think I like Ted Cruz better that he was trying so hard to win against a puppet dog.
So much. He wanted it so badly. It was really funny because
That's
Ted
cute.
Cruz, you can tell, really, he deep down wants to be a comic because he's a big comedy fan, which is disgusting because
Really?
you can't be such an intellectually dishonest person and love comedy.
That's hard. Yeah. Although maybe it's that thing. It's like how, the people who are like, we must put these whorehouses out of business are like visiting a madam every night. And they're like, these are my girls. Like he
Yes, he is
lives
that
this
guy.
life where he cannot be honest and be successful. So he gets like weird, perverse pleasure out of enjoying the people who can be too honest.
Yeah, that's exactly
Or not
it.
too honest. Oh,
He's
you know what I mean.
clearly someone who you really get the impression does not believe a word he says.
Yeah.
Because we saw his speeches over and over again, and he did a thing that a lot of politicians do, to be fair. A lot of them do this, but he did it to a degree that's more noticeable than, say, Beto, which was like when he's doing his speech, he gets the same laugh lines, and it's like you could set your watch to the inflection.
Yeah.
Like the way that it's like he's gonna say the exact same way. They're gonna spit out their cosmos when they see what I have. Like the way that it's like exactly. It's so you really get the impression he thinks every single person that is voting is a goddamn idiot.
Yes.
Who is just going to go along with, these just generic talking points about we got to stop the Mexicans from taking your jobs. We got to stop the abortionists from taking your kids. We're going to build a wall that's going to make you feel good about yourself and make you feel safe.
Let's be honest. He's not wrong.
Do you think that he is such a comedy fan because he's envious of the fact that you can say some wild shit and if it gets too wrong and everyone's all up in arms, he's like, I'm just kidding. I was just kidding around. It's a joke.
Honestly, I think it's because he is a nerd in that way, but he's a guy who, like, the thing about comedy that would make sense for me why he loves comedy so much for who he is that the correlation there is a politician like Ted Cruz and a comedian are two people who have mastered manipulating crowds into liking them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what comedy is to him. He's a person who everyone hates. He has, we had a joke in SNL. He goes, I have what doctors call a punchable face.
Yes, I remember that one.
That wasn't mine, but the line that I did have that I think got cut after dress because I was so proud of it was Ted Cruz saying about Trump. He goes, that is exactly what's wrong with Donald Trump. The Republican Party does not say racist things. We imply them over decades of policy. I was so proud of that. But yeah, I think but Ted is an egomaniac. He's a very smart one, but you really get this idea that like he's used to being hated, so he learned how to just a loophole out of it for everyone hating him because everyone fucking hates him.
Yeah.
And he's not even the worst Republican.
Not even, but he does have a punchable face.
He's so smarmy. And it's the idea that everyone knows he's full of shit.
Yeah.
Everyone can look in his face and know, you don't believe half of what you're saying. But when he didn't endorse Trump, he had that brief moment of people respecting him.
Yeah.
And then went right back to, a guy who
Cruz.
just a guy you can tell has no real beliefs.
Yeah.
This is just the inroad he felt he could get.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like wrestling.
I
But
mean,
course you would
politics
take
and
it there.
wrestling, not
Well, yeah, politics
dissimilar.
has become wrestling in a very sad, depressing way.
Yeah.
hey, Trump's in the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame, but let's not go there.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you and Pete and Judd Apatow have been filming a movie, correct?
How'd you know that?
Nick's been doing his research.
I actually Google you and not Brick.
Ah, good. Well, if you Googled Brickstone, my name would come up first, so people really don't have an excuse. But if you literally Google Brickstone,
This is why they're voting
it
for
just
Ted Cruz.
brings up my Wikipedia. So, which by the way, my Wikipedia, I know it's a funny joke to say, like, I did not write it. I don't know who wrote it. All I know is that since the day it was written years ago, it has had the same, this may not meet biographical requirements for fame. It's said that because no one's touched it since that time.
Yeah.
And that was before SNL. And it's still there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to have made it by now. I have to. But I don't think anyone who works for Wikipedia has touched this page since whoever wrote it to begin with. But whoever did write it, there's a lot to update, guys. It's still basically a Brickstone
Wiki editors, come on, get on it.
triumph.
Get on the
SNL.
Dave
Why don't you
Sirus
send them a
page.
bio and just be like, here
Well,
you go.
because you don't send it to like the Wikipedia employees per se. Like there's people who are volunteers basically that
They're
update.
volunteers that do it.
Yeah, it's a crowdsourced thing. It used to be 100% open. Literally everything written on there was just by some fucking weirdo in Minnesota who knows about, warships or whatever, or some guy who's like a huge fan of Dave Sirus. And then as people started doing like shady things where incorrect information was being put in on purpose, they started having like tiers of people. But most of the people who do most of the updating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you start having problems of like people work for Scientology were round the clock changing the Wikipedia. Like literally people's job it was someone had to every moment of the day keep refreshing Wikipedia and keep removing all the stuff about Project Snow White.
Oh, God.
So that's like most of the employees are actually doing that. They're like fact checking and saving and fixing things versus like actually.
And it's a great way to
Adding
troll
anything.
people.
Yeah, I mean you can.
Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s Wikipedia page was getting just trolled every other day. It was like, yeah, he's undefeated. Also, when it comes to knocking out his wife, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, and you'll see too, like certain people, especially if they've gone on a big podcast like Rogan or whatever, and there's some kind of funny inside joke happens, like immediately someone who's listening will go to like Bert Kreischer's Wikipedia page and be like, Bert Kreischer is known for being the fattest comedian alive, or whatever. That's not.
And
a
if
good
you're not
example,
that
but-
successful, it'll take a while for him to catch. Like my friend Marty Belafsky, he was crutchy in Newsies, one of my good friends. For about a year, I had on his Wikipedia, it takes 4 strong women to do his hair every morning.
That's amazing. I like it.
Well, that sounds like
Anyway.
it's empowering women. So they were maybe like, yeah, we'll let it go.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, back to the movie.
Yeah.
I did a movie with Judd Apatow and Pete and a bunch of other people that that you guys would know, but not the general public.
That's actually true.
By those I mean
That
specifically.
sounds like a great pitch.
Rich
never heard of
Voss,
these guys.
Bonnie McFarlane, Mike Vecchione, Ricky Velez, Derek Gaines, Lynn Koplitz, Lisa Traeger, all great comics who have been wallowing in obscurity up until this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what is roughly the movie about? Like, can you give a little synopsis?
It is a fictional movie based loosely around just using some of the real life things about basically just trying to make a movie that is true to Pete's life, but it's still a fictional movie.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with stand-up comedy, nothing to do with a lot of the actual details of Pete's life, but a lot of things that sort of rhyme with it.
Yeah.
That's sort of what Judd does. Judd's really good at making of bringing like truth and just making things real.
Like how Knocked Up was kind of about his life, but not really.
Well, yeah, just the idea that of trying to really, use honesty in these things, and Judd's all about making stakes and making us identify and really feel that this is real, that these emotions are real. So it's more of a serious comedy than the kind of thing I worked on before by far.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I had the capacity to also write, emotional things too,
Yeah.
which, no one was more surprised by that than Judd. He made it anytime I had anything not a joke that, that people liked that made it in. It was literally like he saw a dog open a door, operate a doorknob. Like,
Well, so you and Pete wrote the script
we wrote it with Judd.
with Judd.
What happened was Pete and I wrote a different script earlier that did not get made. We've written a couple of scripts already that we were sold but were not produced. Judd read that script, one of the scripts, and liked it so much that he was like, hey, remember, Judd and we were supposed to do a movie with Judd 5 years ago before Pete got SNL. So Judd read this new movie we had done, which is the second movie we'd written since then, and was like, hey, I really like this. Let's write a movie together again. Let's do that. Let's get that started again. Because we didn't really get that far before. And so that was, and so that's where that started. And we, with Judd, listening to Judd and letting him really sort of aim where this was going while we were sort of mining a lot of what's in Pete's life and just trying to write something around that, we got to work with, his ability to really hone a story and have like a really like legitimate emotional kind of arc that is, because me and Pete are mostly joke writers.
Yeah.
So I think that it was really, we would, if we were left alone, we're going to write something like Anchorman. Hopefully.
Yeah, Judd does a very, very good job of showing, like, most comedy comes from, tragedy, pain, suffering. That's where good comedy comes from. Judd does a great job of showing where the jokes are born from. And that's why when you just said, like, oh, yeah, me and Pete are joke writers, and we would come up with some ridiculous Anchorman where it's just
One of the
90
greatest movies of all
minutes
time.
of great quotes. Now pair that up with Judd, and then you got yourself like a really good movie.
Yeah,
Like, I love funny people.
When you look at like the movies that Judd is known for, it's all movies that like you remember them being funny, but you really had an emotional attachment to these people in a way that like a lot of great comedies can't pull off if there's too much, surreality.
Yeah.
You need to get a certain distance away from reality to have a really jokey movie, and Judd's sort of the best at keeping a movie grounded and still being funny.
Yeah.
And that you still feel like these are real people. What we're experiencing right now is real. I mean, Bill Burr and Marissa Tomei are the main characters aside from Pete in this movie. And while they're both very funny, you can think of how many times that you've laughed at them both, their acting in this was amazing.
Yeah.
Like the performance that, I mean, everyone knows Marissa Tomei is an amazing actor. People are going to be shocked at Bill.
Yeah.
People are really going to be shocked at how good Bill Burr was in this.
Yeah.
We were from the first audition, we were amazed at how much he adds to it, because, Judd's a very improvisational kind of guy. He wants to let actors be real. He wants to let people play with stuff, but just like how committed and how good a real actor Burr was in a way that like we haven't really gotten to see yet was really cool.
Yeah. That's
At the same time,
pretty excited to see that, actually.
people are going to be really. I think people are going to really
I'm
react a
excited
lot
to
to
see
Ricky. I think people are going to really be really surprised at how great Ricky was, and how for someone who had not done any major films before, Ricky Velez really killed it this one. I think people are going to, even though his part isn't like as big as those others, I think everyone's going to remember Derek Gaines in this movie.
Yeah.
I think when you see Derek, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. He is one of the most charismatic people I've ever seen on camera. Also, Rich and Bonnie were exactly what you'd expect. Same thing as usual. But they were good.
No, that's. Is there any? I mean, you guys are in post production now. Is there any time frame on when this is going to be released? Or
June 19th.
Oh,
of 2020.
No, 2 months ago.
Oh, okay. Oh shit! I missed it.
Yeah, June 19th, 2020 is hard set date.
That's awesome.
sweet.
Yeah, it's summer movie.
That's exciting.
2 weeks after Wonder Woman.
Perfect timing.
Hey, it's Wonder Woman will have been out.
Yep.
It's also like if you're looking at summer blockbuster season, this is very much like another option. This is a funny kind of
And when's the last time Judd had a movie?
Trainwreck.
Yeah. Okay, and that was a while ago, right?
That was a while.
It was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
how Trainwreck was how Pete met Judd and how he met Bill Hader, who introduced him to Lorne. So when Pete did Trainwreck, first he gets, these opportunities with Judd, and from the same exact thing, Bill Hader's showing him to Lorne. So there was basically, it was almost like, everyone at the same time was trying to, utilize Pete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how big that one little scene in Trainwreck was for him.
Hear that, Rachel? It's all about who you know.
Where's
This
this
is
going?
your step. This is your launch pad right here. Here we go.
All right. Well, I'm ready.
All right. Well,
You want to be in a movie?
I mean, sure. I didn't know where this was going, but all right.
Had we
Here
had
we
this
go.
conversation 3 weeks ago, that would have been a lot better.
is there going to be a sequel? Because I have some ideas.
I'm going to go ahead and say there is no goddamn way there's going to be a sequel to
Okay,
this
great.
movie.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, I guess you could, but like, I can't imagine. I can't imagine Judd doing a sequel at all in general. Really.
Well, we kind of did with
Well, this is
my
for
life.
this is 40,
yeah.
yes, but that's not a. It's not
like
a
a
sequel.
spin-off.
Yeah, it's not a sequel because it was about like ancillary characters. So I don't know if
Yeah.
I would call it that, but I mean, it's still a good movie. But it's also like, it's very hard to think of This Is 40 as like a sequel to Knocked Up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
just
sequel
they're,
to Knocked
they're
Up would be
very
twins.
standalone movies. Yeah.
Like, oh, pregnant again, knocked up again.
Right.
All right. Here comes your sister. All right. Well, moving on. We got two new guys sitting here at the table. As many of you know, this has been the summer of Roast Battle, and all summer long we have been having our Roast Battle summer tournament. And next Thursday, which would be the 29th, I don't know when this is going to air, August 29th, the New York Comedy Club, we are going to have our finals. And our two finalists are here joining us. And it's fitting that they're here with Dave, because Dave is, one of the most ruthless roasters I've ever seen. So he's now, or you're retired?
No,
No?
You judged last week, right?
I've been judging a lot. I mean, I just haven't done it since I've had to work on this movie. Of course,
Yeah.
my last one was in the middle of writing the movie,
Yeah.
which don't recommend doing that.
Okay.
But no, I'll do them again.
Okay.
I think I just committed to one.
All right.
I don't know if I should say say it yet. Yeah, I'm going to face Matt Broussard at New York.
Wow.
Oh, look out.
I don't think we have a date exactly set yet, but I agreed to do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll let our fans know about that. But to the finalists, guys, JP McDade
Hello.
and Gianmarco Soresi. Did I say your name right?
Soresi.
Soresi. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No,
But
that's
hey,
fine. That's
Welcome
okay.
to the podcast,
And it's
guys.
Gianmarco, despite how it's spelled.
Yeah, it's the
That's how you
Italian.
spell
It's the
Gianmarco.
correct Italian spelling.
All right, we're in America now.
For the listeners, Gianmarco and I are standing inches apart, staring directly into each other's eyes, unblinking.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
they're
like
very
this is like
threatening
a
posture.
weigh-in. They're not wearing any clothes. They're staring right at each other.
It's like a lank off.
Inches apart in height as well. 6'7",
I like-
6'4".
I like the idea of, I'll do the stare down. We're doing it. We're staring. You
Looks
can't
like
have
the-
dead air on a podcast.
This really looks like the first time
Thank you,
either of you
JP.
made eye contact with anyone.
I'm not a fan. I'm not crazy about eye contact. I like the idea of you working on this Judd Apatow movie, him and being like, hey, can I have the night off? I have to go tell 5 jokes about an open micer.
I had to fucking fly back from LA.
Oh my god!
I had to change my fucking flight for that. I was
Did you win?
Hook me up with a private
No.
jet.
Oh,
I gotta
man.
Get back.
Well, watch the battle. It was fun. Yeah, but no, I didn't win. And like I said, I mean, it was like literally in the middle of, and it's like when you write a movie for Judd, there's really no such thing as like being done.
No.
He basically wants infinite like amount of writing.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't the most responsible thing for me to do.
That's got to be nice though. Like if you're losing roast battle, I'm like, well, guess I'll just go back to L.A. and make a movie with Judd Apatow.
Was there pressure to just like drop that on your opponent and be like, I'm too big for this? I'm working with Apatow, you fuck.
I mean, there is. I mean, it's certainly. I mean, I had to because I was champion, and Emilio made up the belt and everything, and it was like I really didn't want to like have to divide my attention like that.
Can't waste the
We
good
had
belt though.
because we had like time in advance, but it was like I can't even describe how involved this process was. And it's just like, it's not even about time. It's about like, what am I going to really concentrate on?
Yeah.
At least there wasn't another roast thing. I've had that where like I'm roasting multiple things and entities at the same time.
See, that I don't mind because
like-
then you can kind of like stay in the same mode, but then switch to the person, and it's like it
you are in the
varies.
same attack mode.
It was,
sure.
but it was one of those things like I was just thinking about the movie so much. It's like it's really hard to like have the motivation after you're doing all that to like then just sit down and start thinking of mean things about a stranger.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that, stranger. You guys are friends, right? Or
No,
We're
acquaintances?
new friendly acquaintances.
Yeah.
I feel like.
We would say hi.
Well, how hard is it? Is it easier to write roast jokes for someone you know and like and respect, or someone you don't know at all?
I think it's a double-edged sword because you'll go deeper with someone that you know, and you'll like write about like experiences that you've had together that might not translate as well to an audience as like the superficial stuff that you write about someone you just met.
Yeah.
Has that been your experience?
I would say, yeah, I don't think it particularly matters because ultimately the audience are strangers, and it's more about communicating some kind of fact.
You are being
really
way too
quickly
eloquent describing
to
a dick
them.
joke contest.
No, I agree.
This
But,
insult comedy is very high-minded stuff. We have a belt,
Yeah.
but
Does that belt get passed on,
Yeah,
or is
well,
that yours forever?
No,
No.
it's
It's hers. I mean, like I said, I could not responsibly defend this belt for a while anyway.
Jess Fleischer is
She's a beast.
Is the champion. Oh, I want big shout out to Bar Jitsu for making the belt for us. But
Yeah, she's really, really good.
yeah, Jess is amazing. She's defended the belt successfully
Once.
How many times? She
Once.
beat you for the belt, then
Had one
Pedro.
then beat Pedro,
That's
and
it.
that's it.
Yeah.
And then I think she's gonna get the winner. Of you
She'll
guys,
beat
right?
whoever wins this too. So that's another.
Probably know more about roast battle before I start asking questions on a podcast.
there's not much to know. I feel
It's
like you're good.
Like, I should probably know who the champions are.
Oh no, there's no reason to know that. It's truly insignificant.
It's on the back of the sports page, so it's so you guys, how long does it take to write good jokes for a roast battle?
Well, for me, a long fucking time. I mean, for me, what I like to do, I like to get stoned. I like to like get all the information, like I'm doing
performance
a
enhancing
research
drugs. You
project.
just admitted
There
it.
you go.
I win by default.
I like to get all the info I can, see any sets I can, and then I like have a night that I get stoned and I just like write 100 jokes. And then luckily I have 4 siblings, and I pick one to force to listen to all 100 jokes. I just listen if there's an exhale of laughter, and I can maybe that's a killer.
Yeah.
And then I whittle it down from there.
I would never use pot. If the kids are listening, I would never use some filthy drug
Sure.
to enhance my joke writing ability. But do you? And
You look like you do Adderall to pay your taxes.
no, I do Adderall to avoid my taxes. That's, but it varies so much, like the amount of time it takes for me to. Sometimes it'll come right away, and then invariably though, I'll come up with like a number of jokes right before I'm about to go on, like a matter of hours before the battle. It's like, oh, I start getting nervous, and like the adrenaline kicks in and knocks something.
And they
loose,
work.
and
I
usually they do.
whenever I have those ideas right
Yeah.
before, I'm like, oh my god, is this fucking genius? And then you go up and it's like it tanks.
Yeah.
It usually works. But that's one thing I tell people who like ask for advice is like, just trust your instincts. If something comes to you right before the battle, like go with it because it's probably going to be pretty good.
You guys both look like you recently quit methadone.
I love this mode that Dave is in where he's just like laying in the
In
cut.
my head, I'm like, fuck,
waiting
there goes
for
that joke,
something.
there goes that joke.
We're sitting here. We're having a fantastic story. Dave's telling us about working with Judd Apatow, how he's writing with Pete Davidson. He's been on SNL. He's in
He's
Hollywood.
showing us how he's making
and then
his
we
money.
get 2 roasters in here, and he immediately switches gears into roast
I
Judge,
love it.
and is just picking you guys apart.
He's like, I'm going to show these boys who they're fucking with.
Yeah.
You think you're so tall.
There is a lot of man in this room right now. You guys are what? Go 6'6", 6'5"?
6'7", 6'4".
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. And you went with joking. Not basketball or volleyball. You went with
Did you
telling
ever do the
jokes.
basketball? Did you
I
ever?
played basketball all growing up. I was a halfway decent basketball player. But I ran into Gary Goldman, and he was like, yeah, I think the tall guys are more clever. I don't know why that makes sense.
That's
I'm
nice.
The weirdest
sorry,
thing
Dave.
I've ever heard.
Until I hear a short
That
guy
is
say that, I won't believe
That
it.
is the most unquantifiable thing I've ever heard.
Well, because
By the
they're
way,
not-
Gary Goldman, also in the movie.
Oh,
No offense that I completely forgot about that, Gary.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because
he's
tall
not
guys'
listening.
brains are way high in the
You
air.
didn't mention me. No, go ahead.
It's a good
Or
Gary
Ricky's
Goldman.
parts
there.
lot.
that was.
Have you guys ever written a roast joke that you thought like, holy shit, I can't say this? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna get to you in a minute. Fucking talking to Triumph over here. I know you have.
Hold on, I'm going to pull some out for you. But go.
But you guys,
You got a notes document, jokes I wish I had said.
Well, I mean, they're just mixed into the ones I did say.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
have you guys ever like? Is it because you're just like this is too mean, or like I think the audience might turn on me if I say something like this.
It's twofold, but yeah.
I think it's tough that we're filming all of these days. I like the idea of like a truly unfilmed, unrecorded roast. I think would be kind of special now.
Yeah.
But I definitely, there's times I'm like, I don't think I've thought through the consequences of some of the things I've said. I have one joke that I want to use, and I'm like, I can't decide if I want it on camera. I don't want to run for office ever, but
Yeah.
maybe people have said that before and changed their mind when they're fucking 60.
I mean, look who's the president, man. I mean, anything can happen.
And he recorded it, but like, you know, it got buried.
At
and
the same time, though, and I'll let you get to what you're saying, but like there was an incident where someone had a major career opportunity taken away from them because a battle that they did was posted online, and it was, you know, too raunchy for whatever.
We
the
can say his
brand
name,
was.
right? I mean, do we have to protect Scott Chaplin from this? I mean, I feel no, because I mean, in all honesty, it's public that it happened.
It is public
and
information.
It sucks that it happened to him because he's
was there a specific joke that was like the
There's
kicker?
this battle with Evan Williams.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
two
I've seen
good
that one.
friends going at each other, super, super dark, but they're both laughing at the jokes and stuff, and it's like, but it's very dark stuff. And then I don't know all the details, but it's like,
yeah, he lost that.
there could be a career.
What was the joke? Do we know the joke?
There were several.
Oh,
It
it's
was-
just one big.
It was one of the black people jokes that he did, and
single
it's one of
out.
those. And I think it's partially maybe one of those things where when it's two white guys against each other, you know, people aren't. I don't know, but I mean, I've had instances when I was working on the Comedy Central roasts where it was like someone would have like a joke about like that was just making fun of Mexicans, and it's like, unless the person you're talking to is Mexican, it really is weird.
Yeah, I don't want to say that there's
Sure.
a good reason to pull someone. Like, if there's something that's truly horrible, I really do believe that there's a line. And if someone like goes over that, then, you know, there could be consequences to that. But I don't want to take sides against comedians. Most of the time, it's, you know.
Are there any jokes that you've ever felt guilty about? Like, or do you ever feel like weird, like you took too far?
I feel like if, and I've done it maybe once or twice against someone, calling someone ugly for whatever reason, it seems to like, oh, this genuinely hurts their feelings. And that's never the goal. Like, my goal whenever I do a roast battle is like, I don't want to fuck up the other person. It's to the audience. You play to the audience. You want to have the best jokes for the audience that make them laugh. It's not about like the person. So, and sometimes I'll check with people to say, hey, is this topic off limits?
I mean, I've been called. Everyone who's done roast battle has been called. I've been called ugly in roast battle, and it never like bothered me at all because, you know, obviously the joke there was the absurdity of it.
It seems a little
you're handsome.
generic.
The joke is
you know what I
you're
mean,
handsome.
like to the point where it's like, oh, that's all you could think of. It's like I'm ugly. You know what I mean?
There's that, but there's also like if someone is genuinely kind of unfortunate looking, I feel like that could just fucking break their spirit, and that's not what I'm trying to do.
They have no control of that.
They what?
They have no control of how ugly they are. You know, like if you are like, oh, hey, you're fat. Like, yeah, I could stand to lose a couple pounds. But like, hey, you're extremely ugly. Like, well, fuck, man, I got nothing. I can't do anything about that.
And the crowd has no problem with like going along with, yeah, you're ugly, even though like there's definitely a layer of sympathy that like then you're being called ugly if you're really ugly. You're building up a swing back then.
That's true.
You're building up like they want so bad.
The underdog
Yeah.
effect.
But even
is
just
real.
saying ugly doesn't really work. It's more if you can like find something, a truth about them. If they're shaped a certain way and it clicks with the audience that, oh my
That's the
God, they
best.
are shaped like an actual pear. Like
Yeah.
it's so you can't just say you're ugly. It won't work. I mean, at least
Well, yeah, you have to
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
joke. Like I get a little disappointed in audiences when I think they're being a little bit too like when they're being almost not too mean. No, not too mean. Like the naked roast was a perfect example of that. Like I really thought, you know, you're having people roast naked. I thought that audience would have sympathy for people.
There could be nothing more vulnerable in comedy.
Yeah,
did
would think
you
that
do
they
it?
would-
I couldn't. I
Never done
couldn't
one.
do that.
No, I
I
need
couldn't.
privates.
like Daniel Parafan did it, and
Yeah.
he lost like 100 pounds, and they actually booed his body.
Oh my God!
Nobody said anything.
Jesus
and I was
Christ!
like, "You people are fucking monsters. You are
Yeah.
terrible people."
Yeah, that's oh.
Well, we're indulging in something a little bit evil, and sometimes that's the consequence. You go like, well, this is the audience that wants to see this. I mean, I have so many comedian friends who, when they hear roast jokes, they go, this is horrible. I don't like this. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
why do I love this?
Well, I've had friends say that to me too, like friends who saw me on Roast Battle and were like not psyched that I was on the show, and they're
Yeah.
like, "This is kind of gross," but it feeds into like my whole thought about offensive comedy and insult comedy like that. With roast, you have to get the sense that they don't hate each other. There's no real vitriol there for it to truly be a funny joke. And with offensive stuff, it's like we have to know you're not an actual dirtbag if you're saying something
Yeah,
that's offensive.
I
Like, there has to
think-
be trust there.
I think the main thing, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but a good roaster is someone who is a good joke writer. It doesn't
For
matter
sure.
what you're saying. Like, look, you can stand across from someone and say, you have ugly hair. It's not funny. But if you write a funny joke about that and it's clever and you're like, wow, that's pretty funny. That's a good way to say that. And
Well,
I think
sometimes,
that's what
to your
makes a
point-
good roaster.
Yeah, sometimes people think darker and meaner means better, and it doesn't necessarily.
Exactly.
Like, the more clever the joke, the better, in my opinion.
The biggest mistake people make in roast battle, especially new people, is where they try to do a joke that is simply a joke because, can you believe I'm being so mean? Isn't this not appropriate? Which is essentially, if you watch the old, not the good ones, but the Dean Martin roasts that weren't Friars Club.
Yeah.
The ones that were just his, that were just, they're really hard to watch.
I just watched. Well, some of them are, but there's there are some bright spots. I was just watching an old one the other day. It's George C. Scott, the actor, is roasting Don Rickles, and he's an actor, and everyone else is a comedian. So he's like, I'm kind of out of place as an actor. But he said, I'm not here to make fun of Don Rickles. I'm not here to trade barbs with Don Rickles, because for the first thing you would need a comedian, and for the second one you would need a true wit. I'm here to say something nice about Don Rickles, and for that you need an actor.
Oh, that's a great
it's
joke.
Oh,
Incredibly good, and like
That's a great
not
joke.
even that mean at all.
Yeah.
I was watching the Chevy Chase roast.
Best
which
fucking
is,
one.
Yeah. And you can only find
People
it on
hate
like
that roast, and it's the
some
best
Japanese streaming website now because everyone's taken it down.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just kind of a man realizing that no one liked him, like over the course of the night, and it's pretty sad.
It's a reverse. It's a
That
Wonderful
roast-
Life
Well, I think-
happening in real time.
Yeah.
That roast has the reason that was so amazing, that has one of the original SNL cast members, that woman, I forgot her name. She had one of the
Lorraine
best.
Newman.
Was it Lorraine Newman?
She's the one people forget.
Yeah.
She's the one that had like the diary. She read from her
Yes.
diary, which was what an
Brilliant.
amazing. And then Al Franken
outed.
That was how the world found out about Chevy Chase's drug problem, from Al
Really?
Franken's roast of Chevy Chase.
Colbert was brutal.
And Colbert was one of the single best ones I've ever seen ever. Colbert's speech was unbelievable.
And it was less tight jokey and more just like a description of like the disgusting
you have
man.
to look it up. Everyone has to look up the
Yeah, that
Colbert
one, the Chevy Chase one was a brutal but well written roast. Whereas one of my favorites was Bob Saget, and Norm Macdonald gets up and just tanks on purpose almost, and it's like there's something like he's so
Is that
bad.
the one where he's like, hey, this guy's got something on his mind.
Yeah,
you know,
he's like-
when he's wearing a hat.
You want to know why he did that?
I think I know the answer. Now tell me if I'm wrong. It's because Artie had just gotten in the Artie Lang was in the hospital and he wanted to leave to go see him, and Comedy Central was like, no, you can't leave the roast, so he tanked it on purpose. I don't know if that's true at all, but that's what I've heard.
Well, I mean, no. What I heard was that they were telling him to be outrageous. They were like, really go for it, really be like edgy. And so he was
He would
like,
have done that if they didn't tell him to.
Yeah.
exactly.
If you've watched 1 second of Weekend Update with Norm Macdonald, you would know that you don't need to coach him into being edgy. He's gonna do it.
And so that he just did it to. That's amazing.
As a fuck you,
He
yeah.
said, I don't know what the joke was, but it didn't go over well, and he just goes, that's what it says on this card. And then like the dais like gets like they start to like realize what he's doing, and it just turns into this big inside fuck you joke, and everyone's losing themselves.
My favorite part was when he goes, "What the H?"
What the H? He made that a segment on his show. What the H? The sports show that he had
he
on
did?
Comedy Central for a while.
Well,
What the H?
He said, what he said. Jim Norton goes up, he's like, oh, watching your set was like watching Paul Newman pick blueberries. And the crowd laughs, and he kind of stops and goes, I think everyone would love to see Paul Newman pick blueberries. And it's like, oh, you're right, that would be great. Fucking, oh, he's the best. All right, well, we gotta wrap this up. You guys, August 29th, New York Comedy Club, finals of the Summer Roast Battle Tournament.
Only in America.
Do you guys wanna talk some shit to each other right now, or do you wanna?
No, this interaction has been pleasant. I don't want to spoil the atmosphere.
Some of the best roast battles are improvised, guys. So
Yeah,
I
we
see.
could stretch this episode a little bit longer if you guys start getting into it.
I've seen people try improvising a roast battle. and it has never gone
Gianmarco
well.
looks like JP was bitten by a radioactive Jew.
That's good.
That's a
good.
great joke for radio.
Go look it up.
We'll have to post pictures.
I have a slightly bigger nose, just
I
so
look
the
like
audience
Gianmarco
knows.
with the contrast turned down. For the listeners.
These jokes are great if you could see what they look like.
Visual jokes only.
Your voice sounds like I got nothing. So all right, so August 29th. I'm just going to keep plugging this because that's what Emilio's texting me. Plug it, keep plugging the show. August 29th, New York Comedy Club.
I'm plugging
Finals.
Emilio's high school basketball stats. 22 points a game for Fairfield Prep. Several games over 30.
Wow.
Emilio, I want you one-on-one, 1st to 21, anytime, any place. Put your money up.
He's all elbows.
I'm so glad that just happened. Well, thanks, guys, for coming in. Dave, thanks for coming in. Do you have anything you want to plug besides June 19th, 2020? Do we have a title for what's the working title for this film?
That I can't say.
All right.
Whoa.
Here we go.
Well, this comes out the 29th?
Fireman.
Right. I will have already done the Mirage.
It's called Avengers Staten Island. It's actually part of the MCU now. A bunch of firefighters are brought in.
Avengers Staten Island. Dave's face just looked at you as like
shocked, like I blew it.
Yeah, Dave's face looks like he's either I'm about to kill you right now or fuck. How did you know that?
No, I was just figuring out what date that Mirage show is. It's the 25th, so I think it'll.
Well, thanks for coming in, guys. This was
having
great.
me.
We'll see you at the Roast Battle, Dave. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for listening to This Is Not a Green Room. We are available wherever you get your podcasts, including Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and iTunes, as well as the Laughable app. And wherever you're listening to us, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating so that other people can find us and love us too. You can find us online at Not a Green Room on Instagram and Twitter, and you can check out the club at New York Comedy on Twitter and NY Comedy Club on Facebook and Instagram.